The biggest jump scare in this movie was seeing Mark Duplass. Hello and welcome to my review of Kane Parsons' Backrooms film. The story follows a man struggling with a separation and a failing furniture business. He finds a doorway into another room, which leads into another room, and then another, and just keeps going and going as his mental state rapidly declines. This is based off of Kane's previous Backrooms series right here on YouTube. Now, in order to talk about this movie, we need to talk about what the Backrooms actually are. Back in about 2019, this image was shared on a 4chan thread. It started this mass focus on the idea of liminal spaces, photos of locations that give you this feeling of nostalgia, deja vu, and this strange thing in the back of your mind saying that you've just been here before. That is exactly how I felt when I first saw the image as it circulated. As it continued to steamroll popularity, people began to contribute to the mythos. People created their own levels, made spaces to share their own liminal photos, and the popularization of other kinds of images depicting weirdcore and somachanophobia, just to name a few, they really got popular. There was also a hunt for the location of the original photo, which I believe concluded back in 2024. Eventually, the Backrooms became something akin to SCP. All these levels, entities, photos, so many creative projects, all fostered by this one thread, this one image. It's almost like a new wave or version of the original Victor Surge Slenderman images. A vague story with this alluring photo or two, spawning this massive community. Eventually in 2022, a young Kane Parsons going under the name of Kane Pixels would create a video about the Backrooms. It was an instant hit. I saw it right before it blew up massively and I fucking loved it. I haven't caught up to this web series in years, but I remember wondering how the hell he managed to pull off such a realistic look and unsettling atmosphere. This is all 3D, by the way. I believe the first portion may be real footage, but like the actual Backrooms, that is all 3D. How the hell? After it went hugely viral, another wave of Backrooms adoration went around, and unfortunately, we would start seeing the capitalization and borderline sloppification in some cases of this idea. Games would start to pop up, and while a lot of them are great, I think Puppet Combo is actually working on a Backrooms game right now, people would begin to capitalize on the popularity and create really shoddy games just to get on the hype train. It became redundant, but ultimately it's not the worst thing ever. What's really bizarre though, and what is honestly absolutely tragic and why I call it borderline sloppification, is that the entity depicted in the Kane Parsons videos would get the siren head treatment being kidnapped and put in a new round of Elsa Gate videos and becoming another mascot for that depraved shit. There's a great community full of creativity regarding the Backrooms, but Lord almighty, the capitalization of the idea, and especially Kane's series being the victim of it, was just rough. It got to the point where I kind of forgot how much I actually loved the Backrooms as a concept. I admit, even though it is a secret to literally nobody, I was a creepypasta kid. The Russian sleep experiment was my favorite one, still is, fucking love it. And I was there for the rise of analog horror. Logo 58, fucking love it so much. Web horror is a huge interest of mine, even if my knowledge is a little bit rusty at the moment. So that's the very brief history on the Backrooms. Now we have to talk about genuinely the stupidest, dumbest, most asinine minor internet discourse I've seen regarding any movie. When I say internet discourse about a movie, what comes to mind? People upset that a movie is leaning one way or another on the political spectrum, depiction of women and minorities, a movie covering heavy topics like substance abuse and mental health, or with like a recent example, Obsession, people debating on who the real villain of the movie is, which is absolutely Bear, by the way. He is the fucking monster of the movie. You know, stuff like that. Stuff that generally kind of makes sense, even if it's kind of asinine in the end. So, tell me why people got so fucking butthurt about the fact that Kane Parsons is only 20 years old. That's it. People are upset that Kane is a young individual making a movie. Did we forget that Sam Raimi was like, what, 21 when he made the very first Evil Dead movie, which, may I remind you, is one of the most beloved horror movies of all time? Also, are we just going to ignore the fact that this man has dedicated nearly a quarter of his life to building the mythos of the Backrooms, his own narrative, his own story, all these ideas, which have become one of the most popular and beloved YouTube horror series of all time? Holy Renaissance, Jesus Christ. Discrediting someone's work and value as a creative force purely because of their age genuinely makes me sick. I'm the same age as Kane. I have countless ideas, stories to tell, projects to make, all these creative things, and if I were told that I can't take on a massive project purely because I'm too young for this arbitrary standard, which makes no sense in the fucking first place, I would never want to create something again. That is how you lose creative forces. That is how you lose some of the best visionaries. Imagine if Sam Raimi was told to never make Evil Dead because he's only this young. We would never have one of the most iconic splatter flicks of all time. So yeah, that's the discourse, if you can even call it that. You don't have to like this movie, you don't even have to want to watch it, but you cannot deny the immense amount of effort and love that went into this movie from Kane's point of view. This is his passion project, this is his baby, this is his love. And discrediting all of that purely because he's young? Fuck off. Respectfully. Okay, now we can actually talk about the movie. So, this is a pretty abstract film. This is a film that does not hold your hand for a second. We get morsels of information about the main two characters, the backrooms, what lies within, the people that are aware of the strange dimension, purgatory, heaven, hell, mental space, projection, whatever you want to call the backrooms. It could be a lot of things, could be everything and nothing at the same time, could be like Silent Hill, who knows? And thus, a lot of things are left open-ended. Many aspects of this movie, especially the ending, can be interpreted in many different ways. This abstract nature is where the film excels. This is a vibe film first and foremost. Its atmosphere is the centerpiece. Bouncing between live action and some stellar found footage, which makes me so happy. I fucking love found footage, especially the found footage that was used in the original Kane Pixel series. We see all these different levels to the back rooms, these dingy, never-ending places that all look so incredibly familiar. Even with the real world, it captures so many looks that I've seen so many times in my own life. From a commercial you'd see in the early 2000s, to an 80s, 90s style home, to a Dr. Seussian community, to a therapist room that looks like an antidepressant commercial. All of these sets are just fucking immaculate. Each location has its own distinct feel, a memory that dredges up from your own life. To really add to these atmospheres, there is a phenomenal soundtrack, which I cannot convey how well it fits, especially in this scene where the therapist is about to enter the back rooms, having this rapid heartbeat over the music as it builds up to her entering. It is such a vastly imaginative and very, very well constructed environment. The narrative constructed around the back rooms is just as interesting. It is presented as this place that remembers, but much like our own memory, as time goes on, things deteriorate. How they show this memory skill is just so striking to see. How this place bends to the minds of those who enter, or perhaps the other way around. This is a part of the film that I wish they expanded upon a little bit more. I think that there is just enough for speculation and discussion though. I look forward to seeing all the theories and analyses regarding this movie. I personally have to sit on my thoughts about this movie for a little bit just to truly grasp how these more heavy themes regarding mental health and projection are truly implemented and communicated. The horror here mostly comes from the suffocating feel. The entire time, you're mapping out in your mind what the layout is, filling you with claustrophobia and existential dread, trying to figure out when are we going to get lost, where is the exit, here are these markers in order to get back to the exit, and is the exit going to actually still be there when we get back? It is all very incredibly effective. There are some jump scares and a spooky guy or two, but the overwhelmingly strong spook factor here comes from the presence of the backrooms themselves. I'll be seeing it again with a friend here fairly soon, so maybe I'll have a newfound appreciation for it by the time I make my end of year video, who knows? So, the vibes are immaculate, and it is a very well-constructed film from an artistic standpoint with massive potential for discussions on characterization and the issues that it brings up in the film. Even so, this isn't a film that's for everyone. The abstract nature, the lack of massive character developments or arcs, and especially the pacing will not go well for everybody. My biggest issue with this film is that it is indeed pretty damn slow at times. I love slow burn movies, especially a Spiral into Madness story, which this movie kind of does. But there are points, especially towards the end, where I feel like it really could have picked up just a little bit more. And not everyone will like how open this film is for interpretation, preferring a more clean-cut story. Which, if you aren't a fan of these parts of Backrooms, I highly recommend checking out Vivarium. It fills in the cracks where the Backrooms might lack for some people, specifically with the story, having a more concrete story and overarching narrative, and theme. Even though Backrooms does have a pretty strong theme, it is a lot more clean cut with Vivarium. But for me, I do prefer Backrooms just a little bit because, one, of course, my history with it, and I think that the aesthetic and the overall vibe is significantly stronger with this one. I still love Vivarium though, it is a severely underrated movie. If you love this abstract, mindfuck, claustrophobic feel, absolutely give this movie a shot. And whether you love this movie or you weren't so hot on it, go check out the series on Kane's YouTube channel. It gives you bite-sized pieces of story, vibes, all that fun stuff. And like I said, it's not going to be a movie that is universally beloved but it's still definitely worth supporting and experiencing. And I believe that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen this movie, let me know what you thought about it. This is the conclusion of my long stretch of May movies, and it's going to be a little while until the next movie, which I believe is going to be Disclosure Day in about 2 weeks, I want to say. I'll be working on some videos that aren't new release reviews in the meantime, though, which I have been hardcore procrastinating on. Anyway, I've got a letterbox and an Instagram link down below if you're at all interested in some more bite-sized nibbles of my opinions on media. Ew, shilling. How do the big channels do sponsor segments without cringing? I am writhing just mentioning my socials. Jesus. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now. See y'all in the game month. Take care, stay safe, and I'll be seeing y'all soon.